Hi, everyone. And so this is Virgie Rodriguez here with the Race of Your Own for season 2. And as you'll see, I'm here by myself this episode. I figured we'd have a little chat. Why not? Maybe get a little more intimate with some folks. This episode, we're right in the middle, kind of, and we're winding up with Hispanic Heritage Month. I felt like this was an important time to have a theme around immigration, belonging, and Hispanic Heritage Month, right? So I have some of my notes here that I've taken, and I figured, I want to just make this a little more personable or personal, right? I'm always having guests and I'm always talking to them about what their thoughts are, but there's like a grander thing going on here for me. The reason I started this podcast was because I was at a place in time where I felt like certain stories weren't being heard. Or if they were being heard, there were certain narratives around them. And I realized that I had so many people around me, so many talented people around me that had rich life stories to tell and interesting stories. And that's really what makes this world go round. And I started to realize that there was a common thread between resilience, between finding inspiration in those moments, becoming better people in those moments. And a lot of my friends and a lot of my circle and circle of influence are people that have come from immigrants, right? They're either first generation or second generation. Most of my friends that have had family lineage here for a longer time still have people that they're around that are also first or second generation immigrants. So, besides Hispanic Heritage Month and just kind of taking a month here to just celebrate the Hispanic culture, I wanted to kind of talk about exactly what is Hispanic Heritage Month. Why did it start? When did it start? Right. And so each year, the U.S. kind of as a national observance celebrates the Hispanic culture from September 15th to about October 15th. At least that's this year. Sometimes those dates vary just a little bit, but usually it's September 15th. And they did it to recognize the histories, cultures, and contributions of American citizens whose ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. The reason September 15th was chosen is because it's the anniversaries of 5 Latin American countries. So in case you didn't know that, here you go. And those countries are Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. And so Mexico celebrates its Independence Day on September 16th. And Chile celebrates its Independence Day, September 18th. And so mid-September seems to honor all of those milestones for all of those countries, right? This began Hispanic Heritage Week. It actually started off as a week back in 1968 when President Lyndon B. Johnson, under President Lyndon B. Johnson. And in 88, Reagan signed into law a month-long observance. And so, again, this month just kind of highlights our heritage, yes, but also the other things that come with that, the arts, the politics, the business, the sports, and how much Hispanics and Latinos have contributed to this country. 4.1 trillion since 2023, according to the national GDP. And that is a lot of money. And advertisers and brands all know that they want to tap into the Latino market, specifically because they know that Latino dollar runs deep. 4.1 trillion, you can't really kind of go wrong there, right? If you can tap into that audience and know that voice, that says a lot. And so I kind of wanted to start with like a personal story, right? And my mom coming over from the Dominican Republic. And when she came over, this was after living through a dictatorship, living through Trujillo, which at the time was just not a very pleasant time on the island. There was a lot going on. And when he was basically taken out and taken through a coup, there was a personal coup that happened on the island. The doors opened for immigration for a lot of Dominican immigrants, and my mom was one of them. So her coming here was big for her. She didn't know the culture. We had a couple of family members here that she was able to tap into, but she was pretty much on her own. And one of those jobs that she had was at Trump Tower, cleaning offices. And I bring that up because I just feel like there's such a full circle moment. Yeah. Especially having Trump as president now. I went to the White House website and there is, I guess, a proclamation that they put up, by the president's office. And one of the first kind of blurbs they put on there. I'm saying it's a blurb, but it's really a proclamation. During National Hispanic Heritage Month, we recognize the extraordinary contributions of Hispanic American citizens past and present, and we honor their vibrant spirit, unyielding resilience. Trump, did you get that from my podcast? Resilience. Just saying. An inspiring commitment to our shared American values. Now, that means a lot to me because we do have American shared values, especially with the announcement of Bad Bunny being at the Super Bowl and a lot of people saying, well, he doesn't speak English. My mother had to deal with. So how are we here so many more years later and people are still saying the same thing? I'm honored that they would actually put this on the White House website. But I'm also wondering with the ICE raids that keep happening, with seeing so many officers rolling through, it just happened in Chicago, and going to certain neighborhoods, the Black community specifically being also attacked. I don't think that this is something that should be taken lightly as we move forward, right? As we get through Hispanic Heritage Month, what are the things that we can talk about? What are the things that in the community we're missing, that we're not talking about, right? So what does it mean to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month in an authentic way, right? How do we center things around immigrant voices and celebrations? So are we really seeing shifts, especially highlighting women, right, in powers of authority? What does that mean? What does that really look like? Does that mean that the conversation really is changing at the table, not only just for women, but for Latin women, Hispanic women? Is that true? And there's a whole other conversation around Afro-Latina women and within our own community being treated differently, being treated subpar and looked at down upon because of their skin color. And that's a whole other conversation that racism, even just within our own community. So supporting immigrant communities, whether it's through volunteering, donating, right? But also, I don't think it's just those things. I think it's also, I like that confirmation. Ding. See that? That's what happens when you have your laptop open. But I think it's having conversations around actually what's affecting the Hispanic American community, right? Why would an ICE agent want to take an American citizen or any citizen, really anyone that's here, giving back to this community, anybody. It doesn't matter if they're here and they're working, they're here for a better life. They're here because they want to see their family succeed. It doesn't matter. And there's a wider lens here. There's a lot of things to look at here. I think there's just so many stereotypes on so many different levels. I hope that the people that are detained in these ICE facilities can have some justice. I hope that President Trump brings them back to their families. I hope that, especially now, especially during Hispanic Heritage Month, I think now more than ever would be a great way to show what it's like to be an immigrant here and move ahead with these people. I'm getting a little emotional here because I don't understand how we're putting people in these prisons and throwing it under the rug and not talking about it. Because some of these people are properly American citizens and their families have no way of getting a hold of them. Some of them need medical attention. So I urge President Trump, especially as my mom who came here as an immigrant and worked at your towers, cleaning offices, managing teams, cleaning offices. I really urge you to please do something for some of these people that they can get back to their families. So what's a call to action? What can we do, right? Here's what I think, right? As we're celebrating, learn more about people's actual background. Hispanic Heritage Month isn't just about let's have the food and the music and all the good stuff. That's the fun stuff, right? We're not here talking about just that. We're talking about these other issues that are underlying, and especially with these ICE raids, it's a very touchy subject. So I also kind of want to bring up another thing. A lot of people use the term Latinx. A lot of people, Latino, whatever. Latinx is a big thing. Personally, from what I've heard from my associates, Latin is the word that's ending with the E. that is the proper way to say it. I think it comes from the Spanish background, from Spain, but I was told that it's Latin is the word. So let's it's Latin, not Latinx. Can we get away from Latinx? We don't need Latinx. It's Latin. Okay. And so I would just encourage people to see and research their own immigration stories. Where did your families come from? Pass that down, pass those stories down, how they came to this country. That's just as important as anybody else. And that we shouldn't just take a month to talk about that, or for any background, from anywhere, right? From any nationality, any heritage, any race. It doesn't matter, right? For me, it's not just about kind of honoring our communities, right, as we are right now, but honoring where we came from and all the people that came before us, and had really wanted just a better. I hope you guys have learned something from here. I don't know. I really just wanted to do something different. I wanted to open the conversation. I wanted to talk about it. Every time I go visit my family, in the Dominican Republic, I know there's a running joke about Dominicans, and I'm not going to say it. Why? Because we accept who we are. We accept our background. I don't want to play into that. That's not who we are, right? And just like any other Hispanic, somebody from Hispanic background. And yes, we have a big Hispanic artist about to perform at the Super Bowl. And he's right. He's doing it for his people. Now, I don't know if he just meant Puerto Rican people or Hispanic people. He just said his people. Sure, I'm going to think it's Hispanic, right? But for all the people he said that came before him. So when we do that, can we think about the Celia Cruz, an Afro-Latina who took over the world for salsa music? Can we think of Tito Puente? Can we think of Jose Alberto El Canario? Can we think of Tito Nieves? Can we think of all these singers, La India, and another large, huge artist, Mark Anthony? Can we think of all the artists, all the people? And I'm just specifically doing Latin music right now, just because of Bad Bunny. I would urge Bad Bunny to have, let's get Tito Puente Jr. at the Super Bowl. What about that? What about that? That would be great, Benito. Let's do that. Because when we talk about that kind of stuff, it's about legacy. It's about what we're leaving about. It's about what the Latino community has given to this country and to the world. Let's just talk about music, through music, right? Celia Cruz was huge. I say she's La Reina. She will always be the queen in music, in Latin music specifically. Her voice resonates to this day. You open up, you listen to any of her music, it resonates. You feel it at your core. Tito Puente, same thing. Shout out Tito Puente Jr. for carrying on your father's legacy the way you are. You're doing a great job. Benito, I would urge you to use Tito Puente Jr. because he is carrying a legacy with a lot of weight, and a fellow Puerto Rican. He should be on that stage with you. So to that note, I just appreciate everybody that's been watching, that's been learning something, that's been carrying on things that maybe they learned off of listening to one of my episodes, or 12 of my episodes, or 20 of my episodes. I think there's space and room for all of us. Being in a race of your own is very important, but also it's important to be in a race of your own community, a race of your own cohorts, associates. I don't think that we need to just keep it so self-centered and so one angle. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I appreciate everybody for the feedback I get. Some people like it, some people don't. And you know what? That's okay. I really do. If there's more stuff you guys want to talk about, please drop it in the comments. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you soon. Peace. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month.